Hey everyone! Welcome to my first guitar related video on YouTube. Today I'm going to be teaching you an introduction to the guitar for those who have never touched one of these guys once in their life. I'm going to be teaching you the basic structure of the guitar as well as the standard tuning, because what a lot of beginners do is they make this same mistake. They go on their search bar and they type in how to play my favorite song. But really, it's just people going like this. They're just flexing, and it's barely a tutorial at that point. So before you learn your favorite song, or the first lesson, you need to learn some minor things beforehand, because that makes life a lot more easier. Alright, so before we learn the structure of guitar, we need to tune up each of our strings because that's the most important part. So if you have the App Store or Google Play, I highly suggest you go on the search bar and type in free online guitar tuner, and it should give you a list of options, but the one I really like is called Guitar Tuna, because instead of just like a regular tuner where it guesses each of the strings that needs to be tuned, this one, you just click on the string name and it's much easier to tune up. Which brings me to question number 3. How do I make my string go higher or lower? Well, depending on the string you're trying to tune up, for an example, my low E string, spoiler, it's connected to this tuning peg right here. If I wanted to make it go higher, I'd tune it to the left, and if I wanted to make it go lower, I'd tune it to the right. So I'll show you a quick example. This is me tuning it to the left, and this is me turning it to the right. You see the difference? Now, it's the same exact procedure for each of the strings, and that's what you're supposed to do with your tuner. So now that you know the adjustment and tuning of the strings, it's time to learn the names of each of the strings. So the string right over here is called the high E string. Now yours probably doesn't sound like that because your guitar is still not tuned up yet. But at the moment you need to know the string names, and at least you know which string I'm talking about. So that's the high E string. This is the B string. This is the G string. This is the D string. This is the A string. And this is the E string. All right, so there's 2 E strings on a guitar, both high and low. And here's the catch. Usually, you would call this the bottom string, but that's not true in guitar. This is called the top string because it goes from high to low. All right, so a quick tutorial for guitar tuna. I think we're gonna start with the low E string first. So I made sure that my guitar is completely out of tune just to show you guys from scratch. All right, so it's telling me to tune up a little bit. I'm tuning it to the left, remember. And then for the A string. All right, so it's also telling me to tune up. Wow, 18. Okay, so for my tuning peg, again, I'm going to turn it to the left. Perfect. Now for the D string, also telling me to tune up. Again, turn your tuning peg to the left. And then for the G string, just like that. B, we're going to turn it to the left. Oh wow, my high E string is already untuned. But yeah, that's a quick tutorial for guitar tuna. Alright, so now that your guitar is in tune, it's time to learn what these lines are. What are these lines? Well, in between these lines are called frets, and frets help you play certain notes on the guitar. So for an example, if I wanted to play the low E string, I could, right? I can just go like this. But if I wanted to make a certain note on that guitar, I have to press down on that string on a fret. So for an example, I could take my index finger and press down on the second fret, 1, 2, right? And I'm pressing down on the low E string as hard as I can on the second fret, right? And you could just practice this. By the way, it's gonna be really painful when you press down as hard as you can. Yes, you need to press down as hard as you can, because if you just go like this, you can barely hear anything. And even if you go like this, okay, I will make one exception. If there is like a little bit of a buzz, it's okay. That's how you're gonna get used to it. For the first few days, you're gonna hear a lot of buzzing, you're gonna hear a lot of like delays on your guitar, but that's all up to you because you need to practice more, and it's all about consistency. All right, that's the basic rule of life. But back to the tutorial. You need to press down as hard as you can, as best as you can, and just practice that for a little bit. You want to get used to it. And if you want, you can release, go back. It's not the first lesson, but you could try it. And also remember, we're using a pick for this. And even if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. You can always use like a coin or something flat at least, just to make sure you're hitting the right string. You don't want to be starting off with your bare fingers or even going like this as a bass player, because even then it's pretty hard. You know what I mean? Whew, it is day 2 of filming. Last night I was staying up until 2 a.m. recording this video. But anyways, the next thing I'm going to be teaching you is how to hold your pick. Now this is a very important part in learning guitar, because what I see a lot of beginners fail in doing is they'll hold the pick in a weird way. I see a lot of people hold the pick like this, a lot of beginners. And usually this is what they sound like. Which is fine. I mean, like, you can hear me playing the guitar, but the thing is, if they keep on building this habit, you're gonna lose traction. And really, the game of guitar is that you're not supposed to go vigorously like this, all up in the forearm. You want to be nice and soft and have a nice flow of the guitar. And the way you do this is by holding the pick correctly. So the way you hold the pick is you take a thumbs up, which is something you need to be doing at the bottom of this video, and then be placing your thumb right there on the pick, just like that. And you see how there's like a little bit of room right there, all this little sharp part? That's where you hit the strings. Then you want to be taking your pointer finger and laying it right there on the pick. Your middle finger, just not the whole middle finger, but this part of the middle finger, just half of your middle finger, and placing it right there on that last edge of the pick. Curl your fingers together, make it nice and comfortable. And boom, that is how you hold a pick correctly. The last thing I'm going to be teaching you is the placement of your hands. Take this part of your hand right here and place it on this part of the guitar right here. But the thing is, you don't want to be placing your hands where the strings and the bridge meet, because then you'll have this really quiet and soft vibe, right? That's called palm muting, but you'll learn that sometime in the future. For now, what you're doing is you're taking this part of your hand, right, and placing it just further away from where the strings and bridge meet. So then you get this, right? All right, guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hope you learned something new. Good luck on your guitar journey, and if you have any questions related to guitar and music, please let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, I will be posting your first guitar lesson sooner or later, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, take care.